This is going to be our second alternative to transferring our drawing to our paper. So we had the grid method, and then this is our pressure transfer method. So the pressure transfer method is going to be just slightly different than the grid method. It'll be a little bit faster, but it's definitely a little bit, I'm going to say a lot dirtier. For this process, you're going to need your charcoal stump and ballpoint pen, your photograph, and blank sheet of paper. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take our charcoal stump or our charcoal little block here, and then we're going to apply charcoal to the back of our photo. So now that my photo is backwards, and I'm going to take my charcoal stick and I'm going to hold it sideways, and then I'm going to rub charcoal approximately where my head is. And if you want to be super thorough and not have to flip this photo back and forth several times, we can just cover the whole thing, right? Next, we're going to want to get a paper towel, and just like we did with our reductive drawing, we're going to want to kind of wad it up, get it nice and soft by crumpling it several times to get it almost to like a tissue paper kind of feel. And then we're going to, just like before, open it all the way back up, and then we're going to tuck in our paper towel, tuck all the edges into the center until it looks more like a pad, or almost kind of like a little cotton ball. And we're going to take that and we're going to smooth out all of this loose charcoal. So what we're doing here is we're actually making sure that we're knocking down a lot of these loose charcoal dust particles. So what this will do is it'll make our transfer process a little bit cleaner, and whenever we're doing our pressure transfer, this will help keep a lot of that charcoal from just staining our paper, all this loose charcoal out here. So the more of that charcoal that you can pick up, the better. So just keep on working it here until we kind of have like a soft gray tone on the back of our sheet. Once our sheet has been sufficiently coated with charcoal, we're going to take our photo and we're going to place it face up on our sketchbook sheet. What you want to do is you want to place your photo kind of directly over the rectangle that we drew before. So if you've drawn your grid, we're going to try to get our photo lined up with that grid as closely as possible with the edges of that grid. And we're going to tape it down. So what I like to do to make sure that our drawing is secure is to have kind of 3 points of contact. And the reason I do 3 points of contact instead of taping down every single one of these edges is because I still want to be able to lift up one of these edges during my transfer process and check to see if my image is transferring. So what I'll do is I'll do these two corners, and then I'll put a piece of tape here on the edge so that I can still check underneath this corner to see if everything's transferring okay. Now we're going to get into the pressure transfer portion. So the reason we call this a pressure transfer is because we're going to be applying pressure with our ballpoint pen to our photo, to the front side of our photo. And what's going to happen is wherever we press our line in with our pen, we're actually going to be transferring graphite from the back of our sheet to our paper. So if you ever used carbon paper before to do like a carbon copy paper, this is exactly that same process. So what we're going to be doing is just like before, we're going to be identifying the major contours first in our drawing, and then we're also going to be trying to trace over any kind of shadow shapes that we can see in our piece. So I do recommend using a ballpoint pen that is a different color than what we have on our photograph. So in our case, we're working with a black and white photo. So anything is not black and white. So if you have a blue ballpoint pen or a red ballpoint pen, that's going to be the most visible, just so we can keep track of which areas of our drawing we've already transferred. I'll go ahead and start off with some of the features, like the face. They're a little bit easier to see on camera here. So, like I said, we want to press down a decent amount of pressure and try to get that contour going through, so you can see where my pen is already tracking. The reason it isn't picking up in here is because I do have some of that packing tape that I put this piece together with, so it won't show up there, but on the photo itself it should pick up those lines. So we have this wrinkle coming through here, and I'll repeat this process until I have all the contours traced on my photograph. So here I've transferred all of the contour lines that I felt were the major contour lines that give me the most structure in my drawing. I also picked up some shadow shapes and some highlight shapes that I could see, and it's really just a process of you checking to see what's transferring as you're drawing, so that you know if you're picking up enough information and if there's any other areas that you can pick up. So I think I actually missed, for instance, this little pupil in here. So I'll get that circled through. And all I've done to kind of check to see where I'm at is I want to make sure that my two side points are secure here. And then I'm just going to flip up and take a look at what that looks like underneath. So it's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with the way my drawing transferred. And I think I definitely have enough information ready and available to me where I can get started on my drawing. Just like before, if you wanted to make any kind of quick notes to see what's a contour, what's just a regular shape, what's a shadow shape, what's a highlight shape, you can drop in some notes like we've been doing all semester. Just make sure that they are nice and light, so where we can cover them back up with our mark making afterwards, right? So that we don't have all these little dots kind of coming through and letters and notes showing through in our drawing. So that is the pressure transfer process. As you'll see with our grid transfer video, I do want you guys to focus on working in your darkest values first, just like we did in exercise 4, and then start to work in all the other values in after that. So we'll work with the extremes first, track our darkest values, track our lightest values, and then figure out where the rest of the values fit in this composition. Try to fill this thing out as much as possible. If our backgrounds are really super involved, we do want to try our best to make this drawing as easy as possible for ourselves. In this case, I really don't have much going on in terms of a background, so I kind of lucked out there. But in some of your photographs, you definitely have plants, things around from your apartment. If you want to include those things, feel free. But again, we only have a week to finish this drawing, so let's try to kind of go easy on ourselves. The drawing process that I do recommend for shading in this particular project is going to be scumbling, just because it is a little bit faster for us to drop in some of these values, and hatching and cross hatching definitely requires some practice. It might be a little bit difficult to kind of tackle when we have such a variety of values. So if you're watching this video first, feel free and make sure actually to watch the grid video. Know your two options. It could be that you're partial to one over the other. The benefit of this process obviously is the amount of time is much faster, but at the same time a little less challenging. Does require you to trace more, and you can kind of get sucked into like a detail hole with this one. So just kind of be aware of that each kind of process has its own pros and cons, and will yield the same benefit at the end, right? Because really what we're really kind of getting through with this process is really just kind of trying to knock in that contour, getting a strong contour, and really this drawing is going to come to life in the shading, right? So this is just gonna be the differences how we prepare. Our preparation phase is going to be just slightly different, but the end result is still going to be the same.